Welcome to Trucking Tributes. I'm your host for Trucking Tributes, Susan Patten. And today on Trucking Tributes, I'm speaking with Richard Vanier. And Richard is a professional driver with Stevens Trucking out of Oklahoma. You know, everybody wants to go, Oklahoma. I know, right? I'm a singer. I
hmm
guess I'm the only one that really wants to do that. So I really appreciate your time, Richard, for joining the show. Thanks for taking time out today.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. Not a problem.
Now, I love for everyone on Trucking Tributes to first learn a little bit about you, Richard, in terms of your decision to get into the trucking profession to begin with. What prompted that and when did it happen?
My mom's been driving for over 20 years over the road commercially. And my father's side of the family also drove, so it was kind of already in my blood. I took the step in 2021 and got behind the wheel in October, back in 21, and that's where I've been ever since.
So truly, diesel was in your veins from the moment you were before born and maybe even
Yes,
before.
ma'am. Oh, way before too. Yes, ma'am.
Now, did your mom and dad drive as a professional team duo, or did they drive separately? How did that all work?
No, my mom worked for my grandparents, my father's side of the trucking company back home. It was a local dump truck company, and that's where they actually met. And you know, they never drove together, but me and my mom did drive together for almost 2 years
Very
as
cool.
team. hmm
Very cool. Team drivers. What was that like? I mean, some people are going to say, oh man, that must have been a pain driving with your mother, but I'm going to guess that maybe not. It probably was a cool experience.
It was a different whoops.
You're
My
fine.
bad.
Yep.
It was a different experience. A lot of people would come up to me, oh, I could never drive with my parent. I could never drive with my parent. Um, it was different. Of course, she looked at me as her son still. That was a little hard for her to step away from as parent wise, but there was times where she could step away and act as a co-worker. But it was honestly, I'd do it again. I would love to do it again, just to make the memories, and traveling and seeing everything with your parent was pretty awesome.
I would,
I'd love to do it again.
yeah, I would think that's kind of a special privilege actually to be able to do that. That's very, very cool. That time spent together on the road is such a unique time and a unique experience. So, talk to me, Richard. What do you like about the industry? Why are you still doing it?
I like the industry just because I still get to travel. I get to see different things, whether it's working for a different company. You go different places with every company, but I mean, I just like seeing the views, meeting the people, talking to the old timers that are still out here driving, just learning everything, and it's really just about the views and just enjoying, what's out here and out here on the roads and whatnot.
I've often commented on Trucking Tributes, Richard, that you have an amazing office view.
Always ever changing.
All right. Now, so where have you driven? Have you done the 48 states? I mean, where are you traveling and what have you seen so far?
I've been to every state but North Dakota. Of course, Alaska and Hawaii. Haven't been there. I have been up into Canada. I've been up into Quebec. I've been to Montreal, Alberta, Ontario, Vancouver, and Vancouver Island. Had to take a barge across on Vancouver Island. That was interesting with being on a barge going across, not a ferry, a barge.
I bet.
Um, I've been pretty much everywhere, all the way down to the Mexican border and all the way, like I said, up into Canada as well.
Hey, when trucks fly, you'll make it to Hawaii. That'll be cool. Uh,
hmm I don't know about flying now. Hold on.
Well, they say when pigs fly, so I figured when trucks fly work as well. So I'm Susan Patten, your host for Trucking Tributes. We want to thank the folks at Radio Nemo for having us on the show this morning. I'm speaking with Richard Vanier. He is a professional driver with Stevens Trucking. Now, Richard, how long have you been with Stevens? And give us a profile, a little bit of better understanding about Stevens Trucking and how that company operates.
I've been with Steven since about the beginning of April. I made the transition back then. Um, we're just a small company. I think they said about 300 to 400 trucks out here. We do a lot of just central U.S. runs between Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas. Um, I've been to Canada with this company, I believe, 4 times now. We go up in Ontario quite often, so I cross into Detroit and all that. And
Now,
it,
what's your primary product? What are you hauling?
mainly tires, a lot of tires. Um, the company started out as a one truck, like most companies, with one truck in the oil field, and that was back, I want to say, I believe in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. And he started with just the one truck in the oil field, and now, as you see, he's expanded to about 400 trucks. Everybody at this company, they're great. They're friendly. If you got a question, they get you the answer like as soon as they can, and they'll call you back or they'll send you the right person. Very friendly, very down to earth. They're they're more like a family than a office than working with somebody. They're more family oriented at this company.
You know, we hear that a lot, Richard, about a lot of our professional carriers, and that's the reason that keeps the driver with them because, as they say, they're a name as opposed to a number, and they are able to converse with the owners easily, and that relationship is very, very special to the driver out there on the road. That's really cool. So, Richard, when did you first hear about Wreaths Across America?
I heard about it back in 2022 when I worked for Tri-State. That's when me and my mom first originally came up, and that we were team driving at the time. And that's the first time I actually heard about it. I did not know too much about it. Once I heard about it, I did my research, and me and my mom got chosen with the company to come up for the very first time.
Oh, that was cool. Any ceremonial process in terms of being chosen, or how did they select you guys?
They just sent a message out across our Qualcomm, our system, and they just asked if anybody was willing, you would like to volunteer to go up there, and we put our name in, and they went ahead and chose us. And supposedly, we're the first out of the company. That's the first time the company's ever done it to go up there as well. So we're one of the first. We're the first ones to go up there, along with a set of owner operators. But they went to another station, I believe, down in like Missouri or somewhere, picked up wreaths there and transported them west.
Yeah, absolutely. Very possible because, as Richard points out, that may have been one of or was one of our cross docks. And for those listening today to Trucking Tributes, you do not have to come all the way to Maine to pick up your veterans wreaths. You can work with one of our operating cross docks. There are like 8 cross docks throughout the country. I know the Transportation Division has been working on developing more cross docks. So if you're listening to Trucking Tributes today on Radio Nemo and you're thinking to yourself, this is my year. 2025 is when I'm going to reach out and say, hey, I want to be a member of the honor fleet. Or if you're a carrier company and you're thinking, I'm going to get our company involved, please know that you do not have to come all the way to Maine. But for those who do, you get a very unique experience. I'm curious, Richard, what your viewpoint was and what was your experience when you and your mom first came to Maine?
When me and mom first came to Maine, I remember walking in the door and both of us, we said, "Hey, this is our first time up here. What do we do?" And the first thing that I believe Richard is up front, if I'm not mistaken. Both him and another driver named Mason both said, stuck their hands on, said, "Welcome to the family." It was just automatically welcome to the family from everybody saying, "Hey, it's our first time." Everybody greeted us with smiling faces, was happy to see us up there. It just felt like I just walked into home basically. It felt so warm, and I was humble, and just the like I said, it was just walking into home basically. There's really nothing you can really explain how it felt to be there unless you were physically there in Maine,
Uh,
being up there, whether it's your first time or whether you've done it, 20 times. It's family.
I love that description, and that really brings us a great sense of pride, Richard, to know that you feel and your mom felt that welcomed and that comfortable. And I'm not sure if you knew this, but Mason, who was a tremendous ambassador for Wreaths Across America, just recently passed, and we are going to miss him at the driver's lounge. But God bless that man. He was responsible for recruiting so many drivers into the mission to remember, honor, and teach that we are going to miss him terribly at Wreaths Across America. But it's so cool that you and your mom together had that experience. Now, had either of you been to the state of Maine before participating with Wreaths Across America?
Neither one of us have been to Maine for Wreaths Across America before, but my mom is from the Nashua area, and my grandmother was from the Maine, Portland area. So we've been to Maine, but not for wreaths.
Okay, so it wasn't total culture shock like you're sending us where?
Exactly.
To some of the drivers that come up over that hill in Columbia Falls, and they're thinking, my golly, have I driven to the ends of the earth? And our founder, Moral Worcester, is always joking with everybody and said, you know what? We're not at the end of the earth up here, but you can see it from here. So
Sure
it's
can.
yeah, it's great to know that you guys already had some familiarity already with the state of Maine. And of course, in the wintertime, the weather can be a little bit of everything or anything. Might be mild, might be snowing. You never know, but that's pretty cool. So, for those who are uninitiated, Richard, you mentioned the home feel and feeling welcomed right away. What else can you tell our listeners on Trucking Tributes about the driver's lounge and the check-in process?
The check-in process is very easy. You walk in, of course, you give your name, your trucking company, and they give you a pager.
That's
Once the
easy
pager
for you.
goes off, do what?
I said that's easy for you to say.
Right. Once the pager goes off, you go up and they tell you where to go get loaded at. You go down the road, go ahead and get loaded. They place the wreath on the front of your truck. You come back, you park, and the driver's lounge. You've got basically your normal necessities, and you've got a pool table and TV, and everybody's in there just talking, having a good time. I mean, telling stories about Reese or just telling stories about their experience of driving, how long they've been driving, what they've done. It's just you're just sitting around enjoying conversations with just friendly people and just enjoying the food that is provided by Tyson and everything like that. I mean, you just sit up there and you just enjoy time with people and just relax. It's very relaxing, very calming, and like I said, it's just the home feel of being there with basically family.
And we've learned over the years the process, as Karen Worcester, our executive director, often says, we didn't set out to do this. So we have learned, and we've learned, honestly, because of the super valuable feedback that we receive from our professional drivers and courier companies that get involved with us. We know enough now to have great food. Thank you, Tyson Food Cook Team. We know enough now to have, a washer and dryer, showers, that sort of thing to make your life as professional drivers on the road a lot easier to deal with. And we're learning every day how to improve the process of getting your truck loaded so that you're in and out in a reasonable amount of time. And of course, one of the things that we've really had to have learned is all of your rules and regulations on being on the road and your off time and so forth, because we have to factor that in to the annual wreath escort to Arlington, from Maine to Arlington, Virginia. We need to be able to program our times and our stops at the schools and veterans clubs and so forth along the way to make sure that we are keeping you in check with those rules and regulations. So while you were in Maine, Richard, were you able to see some of the Wreaths Across America operation? And if so, what was that like?
I got to see the warehouse. We didn't get to see the insides or anything like that, but they did drive us around to the museum. They brought us out to the tip lands, and I got to see the church. And got to take a bunch of pictures out there where they hang the dog tags up in the tip lands as well. We got to drive around up there a little bit. Yet again, Mason's actually the one that brought me out there one night. It was nighttime. It was a full moon. Ended up getting a beautiful, beautiful picture of the church at a full moon at night. Um, But other than that, no, we didn't get to see the operations on the inside, just from the outside. But it was still magnificent to even just see the outside of how everything still kind of runs out there. I mean, the places not only run on the inside, they run on the outside as well. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and you could probably still smell that beautiful balsam fir emanating from the warehouse and that sort of thing. And what Richard is referring to, for those unfamiliar on Trucking Tributes, is the Balsam Valley Chapel that is out on the tip land. It is a beautiful, tiny little chapel that the Worcesters had built, and they hold non-denominational services there. In fact, a service is usually part of our takeoff ceremony for the Wreaths Across America annual escort to Arlington. And folks have really gotten accustomed to being able to see that chapel, participate in a non-denominational service, and see all the dog tags. And when you told me that Mason took you out there, I was saying on another show that Mason was such a wonderful ambassador and with us for so many years that he got to know the lay of the land out on the tip land without getting lost. And that's saying something, actually. And I'm sure that he was excited showing you how those dog tags would twinkle with the headlights that go through. And on a full moon night, I'm sure that that was pretty impressive. He was always loving that component of his service with Wreaths Across America. That's so awesome that you got to see all that. And that's really kind of part of the first driver mile experience, too, that the trucking division is trying to engage our first time drivers with, so that they have and you have a better understanding of the whole process, what goes into it. And if you're not familiar, what Richard's referring to with the dog tags, it's part of the family tree remembrance program we have at Wreaths Across America. It is completely a free program, and it's an opportunity, if you had someone in your family who served, that you could get a dog tag. And it's a replica dog tag, of course, and we make those for free. And then you're taken out onto the tip land, and you can select one of the balsam fir trees to tag. And then you know that every 3 years, tips and branches from that tree are taken to make the veterans wreaths. And you got to know that it's sustainable. The trees are not cut down, they are tipped and pruned a little bit every 3rd year or so to get all of that beautiful, rich balsam fir brush that the veterans wreaths are made out of every year. And our families just love the family tree program because it's an opportunity for them to pay tribute to other veterans, and that's the way they feel about it out there. So you get your truck loaded. You and your mom are up there for the first time. Where did you have to go, and what was that process like for you?
So we got loaded and we stayed up there till Sunday morning, and we followed the Arlington convoy out that morning behind everybody. And that was just amazing seeing. Even though it started snowing, it was really cold that morning up there in Maine. It was like a flurry. It really wasn't snowing, but it was still enough coming down. Everybody lined up through the towns all the way down the road up to what's the name of that town?
Ellsworth?
Ellsworth. Thank you. All the way down to Ellsworth. Everybody just lined up and waving and cheering, saluting all of us. Even though we're not part of the Arlington convoy, they were still saluting us and happy to see us. We ended up going down to, I believe we had 3 stops in South Carolina, and the rest was in Georgia. We had 14 cemeteries we had to do. Over, I want to say it was 5,000 wreaths. I believe we had on board to the 14 different cemeteries. It was just an experience meeting all the people. Some of the cemeteries let us stay the night. One of them we delivered to the farm for the people that were going to lay the wreaths that Saturday. We backed up. They let us stay the night there. We got up the next morning, unloaded the trailer. Some of the places when we got there, they would provide us like a breakfast or something in the morning, or bring us a biscuit from like Chick-fil-A, or just something to say thank you, for coming out there and being there. Um, and just showing up to all these different cemeteries and meeting all these people. They were just so grateful for us to be able to make it. We ended up having to stop after we left that Sunday. I ended up stopping in Maine because I hit some snow and I started to hit black ice and I started sliding a little bit. So I decided to pull over safely and park and say, "Hey, let the snow diminish a little bit. We'll take off in the morning, and everybody understood when we said, "Hey, look, we're going to be a day later because of the snow, the conditions." They said, "That's fine. Just be safe and let us know about an ETA when you get here." We just had to be safe about it because you've got 5,000 pounds of reefs and they're not heavy. It's a very light load.
Yeah.
Even though you're loaded, you're very light.
Yeah, so glad that you erred on the side of safety and caution. That is so important. And I love hearing your description of the Wreaths Across America volunteers because we truly have the best of the best. We are so blessed as an organization because the folks that get involved with us, from the professional drivers and carrier companies to all of the location coordinators, the volunteers who come out to actually do and conduct the wreath laying ceremonies. And I got to tell you, Richard, going into 2025 season, we are already in excess of 5,000 participating locations in addition to Arlington National Cemetery. So your story of, you've got 5,000 wreaths, but you're making 14 stops is very much the way it goes down with a lot of our drivers because we're growing every single year. And our trucking division understands that relationships are built and friendships are made, but sometimes we have to break it up a little bit for drivers. And we're finding that some of our drivers are having to go to multiple stops throughout the country, depending upon where those veterans' wreaths are headed. And you are so right, Richard. The volunteers on the ground are so excited to welcome you. And in most instances, they treat you like kings and queens when you arrive. And hopefully they stay in touch with you too throughout the year, which is, really cool because you're really making lifelong friends as you participate in Wreaths Across America. I'm Susan Patten, your host for Trucking Tributes. Trucking Tributes is heard every Trucking Tuesday on Radio Nemo. We thank the team at Radio Nemo for having us on, of course, and they've done the escort. Dave Nemo has been up. He's tagged a tree. He and Jimmy have done the escort. They know what it's all about, and they are as much part of our Wreaths Across America family as everyone in the trucking division. So I'm curious, are you able to, Richard, describe maybe what was your favorite part, or even maybe what your mom's favorite part was of this whole process?
To be honest, I don't think we have just a favorite part. The whole experience was just outstanding and amazing. Um, I mean, I enjoyed the views. I really enjoyed meeting the people. But it's the honor of being able to carry those 5,000 wreaths and deliver the 5,000 wreaths to the veterans that have passed or have fallen. And delivering those is just that's what we're there for. Is just to say thank you to them, the best way we can. I wasn't military. My mom wasn't military. My grandfather was Coast Guard. And, I got a few aunts and uncles that were military as well. But this is the best way we could say thank you to those military, and that's the reason we went up there, to say thank you to them.
That is awesome. And that's what it's all about, to remember our fallen, honor those who serve, and most importantly, teach the next generation the value of freedom for them to, we're always talking about sacrifice, sacrifice. Yay, goody. A lot of kids this day and age, they have no idea what that sacrifice actually means. And you can see it, I think, Richard, that you can see the impact that it has on these families when you're coming into that cemetery with that load of veterans wreaths.
You can. Hmm.
Yep, it's really amazing. So, what are we not talking about? I'm speaking with Richard Vanier. He's a professional driver with Stevens Trucking. They are out of Oklahoma. God bless you all for coming all the way to the state of Maine to pick up your veterans wreaths. And again, if you want to get involved, now is the time. Don't wait. Reach out to the trucking division so that they know if they get you, set up and in the system, then they are able to better determine where our open lanes are when it gets closer to National Wreaths Across America Day. That is Saturday, December 13th. But now is the time. Goodness gracious, August already. It's only a few months away. Give me a
I
break. It's kind of crazy. What are we not talking about, Richard, that you think is really important about becoming a member of the Honor Fleet?
don't know. I think we've I think we've hit really everything. I talk about when I worked for Western Flyer Express out of Oklahoma, I talked to them about it. I talk to other drivers that are out here about it and just try to tell them how wonderful the experience is, how everything works. Um, I'm kind of Mason has kind of rubbed off on me a little bit talking to everybody, and he would always try to talk me into talking to other people, and I've talked to quite a few people trying to get them involved, even owner operators, but I think we really hit everything, and I mean, I not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, Mason knew. Mason knew.
Oh,
As I said,
oh yeah, he did.
he was just wreaths across America, inside and out, that man, and God bless him and may he rest in peace. We're gonna miss him, but he knew that this organization grows because of word of mouth. Sure, we've got trucking tributes on Radio Nemo, and we've got our website, and some YouTube videos and things like that. But ultimately, what works best for us is when our professional drivers, members of our honor fleet, share their story and their experience with others and say, hey, step up, get involved. And again, you don't have to come all the way to Maine. As Courtney is always saying, don't let anything become a barrier to get involved with us, because they are just masters at creating solutions. There's never a problem. There's always opportunity for solutions and matchmaking and being able to get, a carrier company together or a driver together with a trailer or you name it. We can make it happen. The key is, do you have the desire to remember our fallen, honor those who serve, and teach the next generation? And Richard Vanier with Stevens Trucking, you obviously do. You and your mom, please give my best to your mom and thank her too from the bottom of our hearts. We truly, truly appreciate your involvement. Thank you so much for taking time out today for Trucking Tributes.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. My mom's company, they also do it as well. She's with a separate company, so she was put on the list to come up this year as well, with Alabama Motor Express. So she
Fantastic.
might be up there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Hopefully I'll meet her, and that's great to know. I just love your story, both of you, that your team drove as well, and now you're both participating in Wreaths Across America, but you're doing so separately with different trucking companies. I think that is just a fantastic story. Thank you again, Richard, for sharing that with our listeners today. I appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome. Not a problem. Anytime. And I'm always out there. Anybody that sees me, they can always ask me questions about it. They see me out there. I love the program. I love everything about it. And I'll always keep talking, to anybody that has any questions to me about it.
Mason taught you well, and he's shining down on you now, man, I believe. Stay safe there out on the
Yes,
roads.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you as much.